It is 6 p.m. and I call this hearing to order. Please join me and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, staff, I'll call for the roll.
Commissioner Nesbitt.
Here.
Commissioner Ferguson.
Here.
Commissioner Ashbaugh.
Present.
Commissioner O'Neill.
Present.
Commissioner Torres.
Here.
Commissioner Young.
Here.
Chair Wiley.
Here. All right, our first order of business tonight is our election. I will entertain motions for chair and vice chair.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Commissioner O'Neill.
I would like to nominate Lori Dean Wiley for chair and Eric Ashbaugh as vice chair.
All right, I have a motion. I have a second. Any discussion? Any other nominations? Okay, seeing none, call for the vote.
Commissioner Nesbitt.
Yes.
Commissioner Ferguson.
Yes.
Commissioner Ashbaugh.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Neill.
Yes.
Commissioner Torres.
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Chair Wiley.
Yes, and the motion passes 7-0. Thank you so much for your trust. All right. Tonight we have a full room, so thank you for choosing to attend tonight's public hearing. Our agenda is full, and we expect to hear from many of you tonight. As either the applicants or interested parties, you have the opportunity to speak for a case, in opposition to a case, or to share a comment. Prior to speaking, please state your name and address. In addition, if you agree with a previous comment, simply indicate your agreement with a previous speaker and only share the new information pertinent to the case. Our meeting flowing, and to keep it flowing, is to allow you to testify. And in order to do that, we need everyone to be sworn in that will speak. So if you believe you're going to speak tonight, you want to speak tonight, at this time, would you please stand and raise your right hand? All right, do you swear that the testimony you are about to give in this hearing will be the truth? If so, say, I do. Thank you very much. You may be seated. All right,
Chair,
we have a consent agenda. I will entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I
right.
second.
Okay, I have a first and a second to approve the consent agenda. Everyone had a chance to read the minutes? All right, any discussion?
Nope.
Seeing none, I will call the roll.
Commissioner Nesbitt.
Yes.
Commissioner Ferguson.
Yes.
Commissioner Ashbaugh.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Neill.
Yes.
Commissioner Torres.
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Chair Wiley.
Yes, and the motion passes 7-0. All right, we are on to our public hearings. The first case is 2517504 for a UDO amendment, number 75 for fuel cells and auto repair. Staff, look forward to the report.
Thank you. Again, this is case 25-17504. It's UDO amendment number 75 for motor vehicle repairs and gasoline and fuel cells. What this is so as you recall, we've had a density limitation in the city for businesses that are too close to each other. So there's a 750-foot distance between those types of items. As you know, back in April, we did an amendment along Nolan Road for businesses along Nolan Road for automotive uses. We also changed that code section that talked about what types of automotive uses, since we had a lot of different questions from business owners and wanted to make sure that our code was consistent with some of the things that we were hearing. So this basically is a code that would be required for the next case that you're about to hear. This would basically alleviate that 750-foot density limitation within 400 feet of an interstate. We've also had some inquiries about other businesses along the I-70 corridor, so we believe that this is a recommended amendment to make sure that those businesses along the interstate, in this case for the case that you're going to hear, like along Nolan Road and I-70, necessary for that. So with that, it affects several code sections. Under 14403 gasoline and fuel sales, it's fuel sales. 14403-08, it adds that requirement there that you see in your packet that the separation requirement shall not apply for properties that are within 400 feet of an interstate. And that would basically impact, again, the case that you're going to hear next directly. And then, of course, also the next code section that would be affected would be 14-418 motor vehicle repairs. This also would have that 400 feet area between the interstate, so those types of businesses can exist along that route. With that, I am completed with my report. Take any questions you may have.
All right, commissioners, do we have any questions for staff?
Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Nesbitt.
hey, Rick, why did we stop at 400 feet? Why didn't we make it like 200 feet? I mean, what's the deal? Was there certain,
So the existing restriction 750 feet, so we felt in order to make sure we didn't have adverse impacts, so remember the initial reasoning for this was to prevent clustering of certain types of automotive uses that are saturated in certain areas along certain corridors. So we feel the 400 feet is a sufficient distance to allow those businesses to exist without adversely impacting that 750-foot density limitation.
so I'm just gonna make like an example that I see, like at several intersections going up and down the highway. So is the 400 feet reasonable for, say, they put filling stations at all four corners of an interstate? Is that reasonable? Is that not?
That would depend on the location. So in some cases, that would still be outside the location of some of the fuel stations along, for example, Nolan Road. So it really just depends on where those locations are going to be at. But understand, too, this is also for automotive uses, so it's not just fueling stations. So it's also for the types of uses that we had that amendment for back in April. And so, again, it really depends on that. I mean, some of the intersections are pretty large.
Right, yeah,
in
some of them
terms
are
of
clover
distance.
leaves and things like that, but I'm just saying like Nolan Road. I mean, Lee Summit Road could be, but I think it's got residential in there, so that's why it wouldn't be. But I'm just wondering if we go on out to the the R.D. Mize Road. I mean, I know that intersection in that Independence. I mean, so is that still feasible? They could put another filling station across from, I say, the Casey's, or is that too close? But Casey's is in Blue Springs, so I didn't.
I was going to say, Casey, yeah, I don't think that's actually in the city, so that wouldn't necessarily apply since they're outside the city limits.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was just checking on that. Okay, thanks.
Any additional questions, commissioners?
Chair,
Yes, Commissioner.
just a comment that I made before when this first came up. I don't like to see a specific foot limit. I think each business and plan should stand on its own and be judged on its own merits. So I'll be voting no because it just seems kind of arbitrary to pull a figure out, to have it apply this way. And that's just my comment.
Any additional comments or questions? All right. This is an open hearing, public hearing, so would like to ask that we keep the meeting orderly. And in order to do that, I will entertain a motion that we limit the speaking time to the non-applicants.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that during the public hearing, for and against the motion, that the speaking time be limited to 5 minutes and can be extended if you so desire.
All right. I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. I have a first and a second. Any discussion?
Chair?
Yes, Commissioner.
I don't like putting limits. This is where people can speak their piece. I mean, I don't like putting a limit time. I know you think it's crowded, but this is probably about the only time people can speak, because if you go to city council, you can't speak on a certain thing right before they get to vote. So this is really the place where people get to speak their piece. So I'm kind of against even putting a time limit on it. I do like the idea, but maybe people would be mindful, but I don't like putting a time limit on it.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
the reason I said at your discretion, because if the person who is speaking is actually giving us new or important information, then I think they should be allowed to continue to do so. But if it's restating what other people have said or basically complaining, then I think that's kind of a waste of our time. So that's why I added that at her discretion. Because, like I said, if somebody's giving us good information and we need to hear it, then I think they should be allowed to speak longer. Most people can really say what they want to say in 2 minutes if they really try. So 5 minutes, I think, is generous, but I appreciate your comment.
Any additional comments? All right, hearing none, I will call for a vote on the motion.
Commissioner Nesbitt,
No.
Commissioner Ferguson,
Yes.
Commissioner Ashbaugh,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Neill,
Yes.
Commissioner Torres, Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Chair Wiley.
Yes, and the motion passes 6-1. All right, with that being said, this is a public hearing. Do I have anybody that would like to speak in favor of this case? This is just for the UDO amendment. Asking again, would anybody like to speak in favor? Okay, moving on. Would anybody like to speak in opposition of this case? I will ask again. Would anybody like to speak in opposition? All right. Go ahead and step forward. Before you speak, state your name and your address.
I'm short. Good evening. I'm Karen Downey, and I live at 5441 Phelps Road, Kansas City, Missouri, just on the other side of 40 Highway. Independence is on this side, and I'm on the Kansas City side. And I own property and business on Nolan Road. I have also been involved in several projects with the Nolan Road throughout my time with the Independence Chamber of Commerce during my 16 years on the board and the board chair in 2004. Currently, I serve as the chairman of the Nolan Road Community Improvement District. Our SID was created by public vote and approved by the City Council to promote what was created by public vote and approved by the City Council to promote economic development, to beautify Nolan Road, and to prevent economic disruption that would harm our members. Two of our founding members, Cargo Largo and Cable Dahmer, are major employers and anchors of this corridor. They, like the rest of us, are deeply concerned about the Wally's proposal. Let me be clear. We believe this plan is not developed enough to vote on today. The special use permits for 80 gas pumps is what is being asked for tonight, but that approval is the only leverage you have. So don't approve this thinking that they can come back and work through other problems. In reality, if you approve this today, it will never come back to the Planning Commission. Wally's will add substantially to the traffic problems at I-70 and Nolan, which we are told is already at maximum capacity. They estimate 45,000 additional cars per week. That will cause significant congestion in our area. Wally's project manager, Nate Hale, admitted to one of our CID members that their own traffic engineer told them at the outset this site would not work for their concept. Despite that, they pressed forward. They now...
Ms. Downey, we're actually talking about the case before this for a UDO amendment. So with your permission, I'm going to ask you to hold for the next case.
I'm
'Cause
sorry, I thought this
that's
was
okay.
the Wally's case.
That's okay.
Okay, so I'll just have to repeat all this over, right?
Thank you so
Okay,
much.
great.
That was a
Thank
good
you.
warm-up. All right. So I'll ask again, any opposition to the UDO amendment? We have two different cases, so this is about a UDO amendment to the city code for the development ordinance. All right. I'm going to go ahead. Oh, okay. State your name and your address, please.
My name is Robert Merritt. I live at 1600 Southeast Dalton in Lee Summit, Missouri. I'm here representing Cable Dahmer Automotive Group. The question I would have about the UDO is, where did the 400 feet kind of come from? And I was speaking with some council members yesterday, and what my concern to them is that initially we put, you all put this UDO in place to restrict it, and we're putting superhighways through it already. So the whole corridor of I-70 through Independence is now, almost, I don't want to say free game, but it becomes, it negates the UDO's purpose in the first place. My other question with the UDO is I do understand why you need to amend the fuel sales and service, but I'm just confused on why the automotive mechanic side of it is also being amended as well. I didn't see anything automotive repair related in regards to the gas station itself, so I was just wondering where that portion of the UDO amendment came up as well. So,
All right. Thank you so much for your comment. Staff, would you like to address those questions?
So again, the 400 feet is essentially that distance that we felt was necessary to encompass, again, the project that you're about to hear, but also not impede significantly into that 750-foot restriction. Again, for the automotive uses, and again, we do this occasionally when we look at some of our code amendments and we hear from businesses and areas around the city about certain types of developments that are being proposed. And we felt that it would be prudent to include those types of uses in this amendment along the interstate.
So it's a pre-planning
It would
question.
basically be a pre-planning, yes.
Okay. Any questions, additional questions for staff? Anyone else in the gallery like to speak in opposition or have a comment? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. Any final discussion, commissioners? All right, with that,
Yes.
yes, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, that's all right.
I guess my question is directed to staff. So what's the harm of tabling this amendment until this other issue is decided? Seems like we're kind of putting the cart before the horse in a way. So is that an issue with staff that if that is done?
So, I mean, you could, if you chose to do so, you could move it. Well, I don't know, I guess I would defer to our legal counsel on that since we've heard it.
Yes, I don't really want to table it. I'd rather it, if council approves it, then it's going to have to be done. So it's a
Correct.
point. It'll have to be done.
I think the purpose for where it's at on the agenda is because it does have an impact on the next case. And so
Well,
even
that's-
if you waited, let's say, to hear it after that case today, it would still be necessary for that case to move forward. I mean, obviously, this is a recommending body, so it's not making the final decision, but it would be prudent for this to go before that case just because of the logistics of this is basically deciding on whether or not the code can be amended to allow it.
Yeah, I understand that. You remember when we were talking, I said, what happens if this doesn't get approved? And you said, well, we still have to talk about Wally's. So
Yeah.
it's like, what's the difference?
Yeah, you would, the next case would still come up whether or not you recommend it or postpone this one, for
If we
example.
recommend it and it's not approved, then it's on the books, and then we either have to change it back. I I just don't think it's a good time to do this. I understand why you're trying to do it, but that's my opinion. So I guess that I need some help from the council in wording this, because I would rather it be approved upon approval of the council if the Swally side is going to be approved. Does that make sense? What I'm
Well, I
saying?
think the
don't
issue-
I don't know what the time limit.
Eric, I think what you're trying to say here is that you're trying to say that why are we approving a 400-foot radius when we don't know if Wally's is going to get approved by the city council, is what you're
Yeah.
saying. Because if we go ahead and do this 400 feet, that means if Wally's doesn't get approved, that means that's still out there. But you got to remember, the city council still got to approve the UDO too. So they
That's
can deny that too also.
It's true.
All we're doing is recommending it, so that's what I'm saying. We can either recommend it or we don't recommend it. That's how it goes forward.
I guess it just,
That's what,
I
I mean,
understand what
that's,
you're saying. Okay,
yeah.
well then I won't make a motion. I'll
Now,
just
Rick,
leave
what
it
I-
the way it is.
Rick, what I'd like to ask, 400 feet, before we can get a perspective of what 400 feet is from the highway, what is Quick Trip setting from the highway right now? 1,000 feet? 1,200 feet?
Give us a moment here. Take a look.
This one.
It's approximately 410 feet, so it's just outside of it.
So Quick Trip's 410, okay. And then probably on the other side, the Casey's is probably about the same. No, probably a little farther, but, so basically, they're underneath, they're still over the 750 feet. That's why you guys want to take it down to 400 feet.
Correct.
Now, my question is what line are you drawing off? Are you drawing off the interstate road itself, or are you going off the MoDOT easement?
It's essentially the right of way of the interstate.
So MoDOt
Yeah.
easement?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, is 400 feet going to be feasible for Wally's?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Okay, because I mean, look, if you go off the right of way, it looks like to me it's closer than that, but that's why I was just wondering.
Yeah, their site actually abuts that right of way.
So, okay.
All right, thank you. Any additional questions, comments? All right, I'm going to close the public hearing, and I'll call for a vote.
I think you need a motion.
Oh, I need a motion, yes, thank you.
Chair,
Yes,
I make a motion to approve case 25-175-04 UDO amendment number 75.
all right, I have a first,
I'll second.
and I have a second. I will call for the vote.
Commissioner Ferguson,
Yes.
Commissioner Nesbitt,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Neill,
Yes.
Commissioner Torres,
Yes.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Ashbaugh,
No.
Chair Wiley.
Yes, and the motion passes 6-1. All right, we will move on to case number 25200-07 for a special use permit for 4023 South Nolan Road. Staff, look forward to your report.
Yes, thank you. So as you stated, this is application 25-200-07, an application for a gas station at 4023 South Nolan Road. That's at Interstate 70's interchange with Nolan Road in southwest Independence. Here's a map indicating the notification area for the subject site in accordance with city code. a quick zoning analysis of the subject site. To the north and east of the subject site is an existing subdivision developed around the 1960s. Abutting the subject site to the south is the right-of-way of Interstate 70. To the west of the subject site includes a variety of land uses, including food service establishments, general retail sales, and gas stations. Sorry about that. An aerial image of the subject site and some property characteristics. The subject site is approximately 19 acres in size. It consists predominantly of vacant land, an existing commercial building, about 24,000 square feet in size, is still existing on the subject site. Again, it is adjacent to Interstate 70. Access to the subject site is via Lincourt Drive from the west and Canterbury Place from the north. It's within a prominent commercial corridor and constitutes a major entrance to the city. Residential neighborhoods developed in the 1960s abut the subject site to the north and east. And lastly, a second-order stream traversing along the southern property boundary. Here are some photos of the existing conditions. So this is a photo looking at the intersection of Canterbury Place and 39th Street. Here's a picture looking southwest at the intersection of Nolan Road and Lincourt Drive. A picture at the future drive entrance for the proposed special use permit site. Some pictures of the interior of the existing vacant lot. It's predominantly vacant land, development ready. Some more pictures looking northwest from the southeast corner of the subject site. You can see the red arrow in the bottom left of the slide here indicates the location where the picture was taken. From the northeast corner looking southwest. This slide shows a proposed site plan for the Wall-E's Travel Center. The proposal includes about 54,000 square feet of building coverage that will constitute the travel center, about 350,000 square feet of paved area, about 420,000 square feet of unpaved area. That will include landscape buffer, stormwater detention facilities, a stream buffer that'll remain as well. 84 fuel pumps are proposed along 42 fuel dispensing stations. And the site will also include 12 EV charging stations. In total, the site will provide about 300 parking spaces. Here's some preliminary exterior elevations of the Wall-E's Travel Center. So looking north, the north elevation, this will constitute the primary entrance to the Wall-E's Travel Center. You'll see a prominent peaked roof form centered on the commercial space. On either side of the prominent peaked roof feature is the two customer entrance vestibules. The south elevation looking south at the Wall-E's Travel Center, this will be the service area where delivery trucks will deliver products. And the east elevation will be the closest towards Lincourt Drive. So as you enter the site, you'll see the east elevation, and it has another customer entrance vestibule. You can see the peaked roof form above that, the customer entrance vestibule. And the west elevation looking west is another side of the service entrance for the Wall-E's Travel Center. A little bit zoomed in view of the materials used for the Wally's Travel Center, the proposed exterior elevations. So this will include fiber cement panels around the customer entrance vestibule, some brick, and the color is slate gray indicated by the applicant, and exterior finish insulation systems, sort of like a synthetic stucco material. Above the, the peaked roof form, the prominent architectural feature will feature continued use of those fiber cement architectural panels, some more exterior finish insulation systems, synthetic stucco in a custom orange, and a roof, a metal roof in that slate gray color again. The applicant has provided a comprehensive landscaping plan that includes a landscape buffer along the northern property line and eastern property line, abutting residential neighborhoods, parking lot landscaping islands, a prominent landscaping island at the drive entrance, abutting Lynn-Court Drive when you enter the site, and additional landscaping beds near those customer entrance vestibules. A little bit zoomed in for the landscaping plan. So the buffer along the northern and eastern property line, you'll see here in the slide, will feature a 6-foot tall masonry screening wall and a variety of tree species, including predominantly species native to North America, so honey locusts, redbud, tulip poplars, oak trees, holly trees, elm trees, maples. At the drive entrance along Lynn-Court Drive and the landscaping beds in close proximity to the customer entrances, you'll find a variety of shrubs, including fragrant sumac, 9-bark, New Jersey tea, and in addition to that, some evergreen shrubs, boxwood, and some ground cover, some little blue stem, so native grasses, native shrubs, and then some evergreen varieties as well. A slide showing some of the preliminary traffic plans that Wally's has provided. So I'll keep it pretty broad here, but the proposal includes a realignment of Lynn-Court Drive. If you have seen that intersection today, you'll note that the intersection is not aligned, so as a through intersection. So the development will include a full reconstruction of the intersection, will be realigned in accordance with MoDOT requirements and city requirements as well. In addition to the reconstruction of the intersection, an additional southbound lane on Nolan Road will be included. You'll see here in this slide an additional right turn lane off of Interstate 70 onto Nolan Road will be added. And here's a close-up of the proposed intersection at Canterbury and 39th Street. What's being proposed here is a 3-quarter access, so right turn only, exiting the Wally site, but also the commercial subdivision there. So you've got the other food service establishments and general retail store. Staff does recommend approval of the special use permit with the following conditions. The applicant shall provide confirmation of negotiations and documentation for all necessary rights-of-way, easements, construction easements, or all other contracts negotiated from all property owners necessary to build the required improvements prior to issuance of permits for construction. 2, the applicant shall construct all improvements to the street network provided for in the recommendations of the traffic impact study. Further modifications to the plans for street network improvements may be required. All improvements shall be reviewed and approved by the city and state prior to the issuance of a construction permit. 3, a striping and signage plan for the site shall be provided and approved by the city to manage traffic circulation. This plan shall be submitted with the engineering plans. 4. A stream buffer plan and stormwater quality requirements are required to be addressed during the building permit review and engineering plan issuance process. 5. A final stormwater study shall be submitted as part of the final construction plans. The applicant is required to provide a stormwater layout sheet, drainage map, and profiles of the stormwater lines, and an operations and maintenance plan will be required as part of the stormwater plans. 6. Development agreement between the city and the applicant shall be executed for the sanitary pipe replacement anticipated as part of a capital improvement project currently in the design stage. Excuse me here. 7. These are a continuation of the recommendations to fit them all on the slideshow. 7. The building design and materials used in the construction of the proposed structures will need to conform with Section 14506 of the City Code. This will be evaluated at the final site plan stage. 8. The applicant shall adjust their photometric plan, including parking lot and street lighting fixtures, in accordance with city codes, traffic, and ADA standards. 9. Sidewalks are required on both sides of Lincourt Drive and Canterbury Place and shall be installed in accordance with the design and construction manual. 10. The property shall be platted in accordance with the city code. 11. The applicant shall submit a site plan application in accordance with Section 14705 of the city code. 12. A 6-foot-tall masonry screening wall shall be provided along the northern and eastern property boundaries abutting residential neighborhoods. 13. Final approved construction permits shall be issued by the city and state prior to the construction of proposed improvements. All public infrastructure shall be completed prior to the issuance of a final certificate of occupancy. And finally, 14. This special use permit has not been reviewed for final engineering design compliance. All development engineering must be designed in accordance with the City of Independence standards and specifications prior to construction. That concludes staff's presentation, and I'm available for any questions.
All right, do I have any questions for staff, commissioners?
Chair,
Commissioner Nesbitt?
so you're saying this site hadn't been plotted?
That's correct, yes. So the site was initially annexed into the City of Independence in 1960, and at this time it is currently an unplatted tract of land and actually includes a couple private drives. So if you see Canterbury Place and Lincourt Drive, the street signage will indicate that it's currently a private street. So the platting of the subject site will include the dedication, of those streets to the City of Independence for continued maintenance, and will require a formal plat
No,
to
wait a
be
minute here.
approved by the City Council.
Why are we wanting to take care of the street then? If it's not platted, if it's all that, why can't they take care of the streets? Why are we wanting to say we have to take care of the street? I don't understand that. What's going on there? That's just putting more responsibility on the city when it's just going into their property. So what's the deal there?
So this was the plan that was proposed to the City of Independence and discussed internally with the Municipal Services Department and Community Development Department. It's also a decision that city officials will have to take into consideration. I believe that you raise a good point here.
Well, yeah, that's a very good point, because we don't have the money to take care of our own streets. Why we want to add more streets to it when they'll maintain it? That does not make any sense at all. And I don't understand how this has never been platted when it was Ventures and Kmart's and all that, and it's never gotten platted. What is going on with the city back then? That's a very sad point.
And yeah, you have to keep in mind that previous developments were under previous development codes. So the City of Independence has adopted new development code, and the current one that we have adopted was in 2009. So we've had a couple iterations since the property was annexed into the city.
Okay, well, I'm still going to disagree on having the city maintain the streets, because I was also complaining about the Lynn Court, which should have been the right-of-way of Kmart or Venture when they built it, because they put in all that, and why is the city wanting to maintain it? It's just crazy there, guys.
All right, additional questions or comments for staff?
Yes.
Commissioner, Ashbach.
You know, I've done this for a while, and I don't think I've ever seen a staff report include so many things that are up in the air. And it just seems like it's rushed, and I don't understand why. I mean, can you give me an explanation of why so many things are just kind of left hanging, and we're supposed to approve or recommend, we're supposed to recommend a plan that doesn't seem to be very well fleshed out yet?
So you will have to keep in mind a couple of things. So these are preliminary plans. An application for a site plan is still required by Independent City Code, and that site plan will ensure that the proposed development conforms to all city standards and specifications. It undergoes a formal review by the Community Development Department, Municipal Services Department. So we'll have plenty of time to review the plans and ensure that they're in compliance with city code. A couple other key factors that are important to note here. So one, the City of Independence is currently in its design stage for a capital improvements project for a sanitary pipe replacement southwest of this I-70 and Nolan Road interchange. So that requirement is anticipated as part of that capital improvement project. So a development agreement will be necessary at that time. Additionally, we've got engineering design still on the docket, so that final stormwater report and stormwater design for the proposed basin there. And then lastly, and I may have to defer to Rick here and potentially even the applicant, but the proposal also involves some major review by the Missouri Department of Transportation. So some of this may still be up in the air because there's another jurisdiction that this project involves. So not just the City of Independence.
What do you mean by that?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It just seems like there's a lot, even for a preliminary. And I understand all those things you said, Gabe. I mean, I get it, but at the same time, it seems like there's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would.
And if I might add, this is a fairly complex project, and this intersection and what's involved in making this proposal happen. So as we come forward with this project, obviously we talk about it's not complete for final engineering design. So there is going to be some things that we'll have to look at and approve. And because this does encroach, or at least the impacts of the development would encroach onto the state right away, there is, as Gabe mentioned, that other entity that would be involved in the review and approval for construction permits along with the city.
So you're saying the state review on the traffic study, is that what you're talking about?
Yes, the state has done an iteration of review for this as well.
Okay. My question is going to be, we used to have a Kmart and Adventure there. I remember seeing the parking lot always full. So we never had any problems with traffic flow with that being there. I mean, I don't quite understand did we change something since they were there in the traffic? And I think we've added to it, made it even better. So I don't think we have a traffic flow problem that people probably going to start addressing, because that's been there for 40, 50 years. And we've had a lot of cars go through there when it was Kmart and Venture. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I don't understand why people are complaining about traffic flow, because it's always there, and we want traffic flow because we want business in Independence.
So I would defer to the applicant's traffic engineer for a lot of that. Understand too that the use is different. I mean, this is a fueling station versus a commercial business. And of course, as time goes on, there are traffic patterns that do change. As you'll see with some of the traffic studies that are done, they do 20-year forecasting, and in many cases, those traffic numbers increase as we move into the future. So, but for some of that specificity, I would defer that to the applicant. I believe they have their engineer here that can probably speak to that better than I.
Commissioners, are we ready to ask the applicant to come forward then? All right, I'm going to go ahead and ask the applicant to come forward. And please state your name and your address.
Sure. Michael Rubenstein, 3315 Georgetown West University, Texas, 7705.
And address anything you want us to know,
Thank you.
and if you want to address any of the comments already made.
Thank you very much. Michael Rubenstein, I'm the CEO of Wally's, co-founder of Wally's, and Chairman Wiley, Vice Chairman Ashbaugh, and the rest of the commission, thank you for having us here. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys. And thank you to the city and the staff that's been very supportive. This has been almost 4 years from when this project started, and almost 2 years from when we started having conversations. Pre-development meetings, I think, started 3 years ago. So this is not something that has obviously happened overnight, and so there's been a lot of work into that, and so thank you. I also want to thank the citizens who are here. We look forward to hearing your comments. We held a neighborhood meeting last month in order to try to explain our plan, let people understand the work that we've done, what we're trying to accomplish, as well as hear the concerns, which they're valid concerns, which they're 1, 2, and 3 are traffic, right? So we know that that is the primary concern, and maybe people have other concerns, so I don't want to put words in their mouth, but we are here, and we have a team here to address it. But I do want to make sure I talk about Wally's, what we do, so that everyone has a full picture of our team and our story and what we think we bring to Independence. So with our team, I have Nate Hale, who's our Director of Construction. We have our civil engineers, Lindsay and Aubrey, and then we have Julie, who's our traffic guru. You'll be seeing her the most during this meeting. And just a little bit about the Wally story. So I grew up in Sullivan, Missouri. It's a 6,000 person town, about 70 miles from St. Louis. My cousin Chad, Cuba, Missouri, about 1,500 people. We grew up on Old Route 66. So we grew up in a road trip family. We both kind of went our different ways, and as it evolved, I got into the development business, Chad and their families in the convenience store business, and we had this idea. We wanted to take the modern amenities that exist in today's travel centers and combine it with the home of the Great American Road Trip. And you'll see from what we do, from our design to the mid-century modern architecture, the 42-foot vaulted ceilings, the slanted roofs, everything we do is try to really hone in on what we think the brand of our company represents. And so the brand of our company is home of the Great American Road Trip, and Independence is where effectively the first road trip began. And so my Wally's Independence story starts over 4 years ago. So when after Chad and I started the business, and we had 2 stores operational, a third one that's under construction, and this would be our 4th location. This site was clearly, something that right away, from the things that we look for, which is a strong community, a strong workforce. We're going to hire over 200 team members in order to, at above minimum wage labor, and obviously strong traffic counts and access to the highway, visibility, are all the things that we look for. And so when I saw the site, obviously, don't have to tell you guys, it was a challenge site. I drove down to Austin to meet the landowner of the site. Well, I shouldn't say I met him. I went there to tell him who I was and what I was trying to do. And so just to and I'm the CEO of the company, so there's no broker going out there. This was me doing it because I believe, and I think as you'll hear, that this was the right place for us to be. And so that kind of started our story in Independence. And it's based on community. So I grew up in a small town. We had family businesses, really believe strongly in community. being a part of the community. Every store that we've had, we like to partner with the local businesses, the nonprofits, whatever we can to let them know that, hey, this isn't another store for us. This is something we care about. And so we've talked about, in other communities as well as this one, I mean, there's such an amazing history here with the Presidential Library, the Town Square, all the things. Like, what can we do to help also have the people we're pulling off the highway also spend time in the city? So we have a lot of interesting ideas. We also like to use local contractors, make sure we're engaging as much as we can the local workforce. This was a blighted area, safety, homelessness problems. We paid for the demolition as part of our acquisition. We've done the work to make sure that the site, the asphalt was pulled up in order to give an appearance of what the site could look like, opposed to the safety issues it currently had, as well as the eyesore. We were under no obligation to do that. We did that because we wanted to, once again, show what type of partner we can be in the community. And then just to reinforce, for the off-site improvements that were referenced, we're paying that out of pocket, right? There's up to $5 to $7 million of off-site improvements. So there's traffic problems, right? We know that Nolan Road is challenged, and you could go back to, was it a design flaw? Probably, right? I mean, this is 15 years ago from the interstate, or from the new overpass being built. Not new overpass, the overpass. We are not only, I think, solving, our traffic challenges, but we're also trying to improve the city. I mean, we're adding lanes. We're adding Excel and Decel off of 70. I mean, I don't know how many applicants have ever actually touched MoDOT, Excel, and Decel. And we're doing this because with our traffic engineer, this was the recommendation we had to do to make this, to be a solution provider and not cause problems. We want to be part of the solution. So a couple other things is, we talk about, it being a gas station. And yes, we do have a lot of fuel pumps, but we are a travel experience. So a typical gas station may have a 1 to 1.5 ratio of fueling transactions to inside transactions. We're closer to 5 to 1. So just to put it in perspective, people come for our food, they come for the retail, we pull them off the highway, they come for our clean bathrooms. So yes, that is a big part of the travel experience, just like, our electric charging will continue to grow because we're about the travel experience, and no semis or 18-wheelers, right? This is only auto, work trucks, things of that nature. So just lastly, before I go into these slides, $5 to $7 million in improvement that we're paying out of pocket, alignment of Lynn Court, the additional lanes on Nolan, the Excel and Decel on I-70, and also, Canterbury Road, which is hugely overbuilt. Our plan was to dedicate it back to the city, right? We thought that would be the best thing. If that's an issue, that certainly can be talked about. So with that, I just have some additional slides. I mentioned Home of the Great American Road Trip. This is our entry sign. I think what we really try to tap into is the fun and the spirit of the road trip. This is a shot of the store, 42-foot vaulted ceilings. You see the slanted roof. All the storefront we have more storefront than pretty much every grocery store that, maybe a couple that have more of us. We do that because it provides an open space. It provides a sense of safety with the well-lit, being a 24-hour operation. Inside the store, once again, you think about a typical, gas station, a Quick Trip. It's, 4,000 to 6,000 square feet. This is over 50,000 square feet because we have a robust food offering where it's 360-degree views of our food offerings, as well as a large retail section with a full-size Winnebago, 1984 Winnebago Bravo inside, hats, T-shirts. We do a lot of promotions, with our product, with the local communities that we're in, and there's obviously a ton of amazing opportunities with what Independence has. The restrooms, so just to give you, these are serviced at all times. We have huge restrooms. I think it's 20, what is it on the women's side, 28? 22 individual stalls, and larger on the men's side. And this just gives you hopefully a little feel for what the brand is, what we're trying to accomplish. The next thing I'll show you is we created, because we wanted to make sure that everyone had a chance to really feel what the experience would be like. So we have a rendering done that was actually done into a video. So this is based on what you would see when you enter into the store. And I think it'll start. Okay, here it's going. I'm just going to talk a little bit as it's happening, and I've got this pointer. So you can see this is our entry sign, home of the Great American Road Trip. This new traffic alignment allows for the queuing that we need. You can see from the store the 42-foot vaulted ceiling really adds a really nice view. It mentioned the 5-to-1 ratio, how many people are coming to eat and not just fuel up, which is obviously something we have. As you turn the corner and obviously look to the east and then the north, you'll see the landscaping plans as we start to move farther, as well as, when it comes to the photometric and the lighting, there's no spillover. We've made sure of that. Now you get to the residents to the northeast and north. This is a retaining wall, as well as the additional grass area, the landscaping, and the additional barrier that's up high, which it shows a wood fence, and it's actually going to be a masonry block. And so you probably went through a little bit of the back of the house. Everything on the back is covered. The dumpsters, everything is enclosed. It creates a very clean, view for, even though it's landscape, for anything from behind, everything's very walled off. So with that, I'm going to quickly turn it over to I better turn this off. I don't want to take anyone's eyes out with the laser. Our civil engineer, who's going to just tell you a little bit about the site plan as an overview and some of the environmental concerns that we're addressing.
Excuse me, restate your name and your address.
Yes, my name is Lindsay Dekemper. I'm with Cole and Associates, and I'm the civil engineer on this project. My address is 1520 South 5th Street in St. Charles, Missouri. First of all, thank you, commission members, for your time tonight, and thank you, staff, for your presentation. I'm going to keep my portion pretty short and sweet. Gabe covered a lot of the key items of our site plan, as did Michael. So just a couple points I'm going to reiterate from what he said. A key one being the screening coming off the residential property on the north side and on the east side. So like what was mentioned, we're going to be providing a 6-foot masonry wall all along the north property and all along the east property. Along with the screening wall, we're also going to be providing a mix of canopy, ornamental, and evergreen trees to also help with that screening as well. And then another key part of the screening from residential is going to be that northeast corner of the site, as you could kind of see in that rendering video, where varies from about 10 to 20 feet of grade change, where Wally's is sitting a lot lower into the site than as compared to the residential properties. Kind of jumping back towards the site plan. So the approximate 54,000 square foot convenience and retail store is about 6.5% of the total site area. And then we have about 42% of paved area, which is where you get the 300 parking spaces and drive aisles. And then we actually have 51% unpaved area. So that being partially for the above ground detention and then the landscape. So majority landscaping on the site. With that in mind, that's actually going to reduce the 100-year runoff from the site from existing conditions by about 75%. So significant runoff, significant reduction in the runoff. And then prior to the above ground detention that we're providing, we're going to right now we're looking at proposing 2 water quality units to treat the runoff on the site. So that's going to be in the form of hydrodynamic separators, and those will address oil and grease, suspended solids, and trash prior to discharging into the above ground basin that you can see on the site plan. Only other item I was going to touch on today was the points of access into the site before I defer to our traffic engineer. On the north entrance, it's going to be 1 lane in, 1 lane out. The main entrance that you see in the center where with the nice Wally's Road Trip sign, we're going to have 2 lanes in, 2 lanes out. And then the south entrance, just in front of the Andes, is going to be another 1 lane in, 1 lane out entrance. So 3 points of access into the site coming off of Lynn Court in Canterbury. Those are the main points I wanted to touch on today. Again, thank you guys for your time. And I'm going to go ahead and defer to our traffic engineer, Julie, to answer some of the rest of those questions.
Question.
Thanks. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
They're talking about the CIP project. What do you know about that?
For the sanitary
Yes.
item. So that's kind of been back and forth in discussions with city staff. As far as what I know about that, I would say that, we've talked with staff about coming to an agreement on what needs to be done to service the site. We have not gotten further into design in coordination with the staff on that item, but we do plan to address the sanitary concerns and make sure that it's provided on site as to what Wally's needs.
Well, that's one of the sticklers that they put down here. That's why I want to know what you guys are thinking about, because I don't know where it runs. I don't know if it runs through the parking lot, it runs underneath the building. I don't know where it goes. Staff.
Right now, the sanitary main there's a portion running through Canterbury and there's a portion running through the stream buffer that's just south of our basin. We're actually looking to coordinate a little bit more with city staff on that and get some more answers from them as to where the status of that was. The last that we had spoke with them, there was some modeling being done of the existing system, and then we were going to go from there to see what the necessary improvements were, and that's about where we're at right now.
But you don't see any problems of letting the city go through and get that done before you, I'm guessing before they start, or getting it done quicker? Staff's that what we're trying to do if this gets approved?
So it is currently a capital project. It's as far as I understand, it's in design right now. And so part of the coordination is that timing of construction and, of course, if this project were to be approved, how that fits into the capital plan for construction and completion of that.
Well, we'd hate to see them put up a brand-new stuff and everything, then we have to go in and tear it out and be down for months.
Absolutely. That's the purpose for that coordination that we'll have to work through. Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll defer to Julie.
Good evening.
Once again, state your name and your address.
Sure. I am Julie Nolfo. I am a professional engineer as well as a professional traffic operations engineer with Lockmuller Group. Address is 399 South Spring Avenue, St. Louis, Missouri, 63110. So I'm going to basically walk you through. Traffic is usually one of the issues, particularly at the Planning Commission level, that I just find it's kind of helpful to kind of tell the narrative of how we do the study and where we are within it. This study in particular, really the discussions of it started long before the actual traffic impact study did, and even preceded me joining the team with Wally's to help with it. There have been discussions with MoDOT as far back as 2023, as well as with the City of Independence. And then I started having discussions with the Missouri Department of Transportation and the city in January 2024. We weren't sure at that time when their site plan would be ready to proceed, so preemptively we talked with those agencies about what locations we would want to include in a study, and we collected that data in May of 2024. It was imperative that we wanted to get it while schools were still in session, so that we didn't get caught where they were ready to go forward with the site plan in the summer, but we would have summer traffic. And so the data was collected in May of 2024. The traffic study was initiated again in November of 2024, and since then we have had up to 3 additional meetings with MoDOT and/or the city staff. We have reached agreement on the study parameters, the methodology, the recommendations, and we in fact resubmitted the traffic study addressing MoDOT's concerns and the city's concerns. Last was August 5th. And so MoDOT has had it about 3 weeks. They typically take 4 to 6 weeks to respond. But this, again, is their second review of it, and we addressed all their comments and concerns that they raised as part of it. So the purpose of the traffic study, of any traffic impact study, is really kind of multifaceted. The first is to establish baseline conditions, and then basically identify what the proposed development is going to generate in terms of traffic impact so that we can understand what that impact is and we can recommend mitigation measures for it. That is always our goal. This was, in my 31 years of doing traffic analysis, one of the most scenarios and most time periods that we've looked at for any one development of this size. We looked at 5 scenarios. We looked at year 2024 existing. And again, that's important because we need to make sure all of our models replicate what is truly happening out there on the road system. We looked at 2026 baseline. So we've pushed it 2 years forward, and we didn't factor in the Wally's traffic yet. We looked at 2026 forecasted, which takes that baseline and layers in the Wally's traffic. And then we go out 20 years, both with and without the development in it, and we do redo the analysis for that. We also looked at 5 time periods. We looked at the typical weekday morning, weekday afternoon, so the AM and PM when the traffic is the heaviest on Nolan Road. We also looked at the Saturday midday. And those 3 time periods are when Wally's tends to have their peak traffic generation. But we also knew we were in close proximity to a number of schools, so we also looked at 2 other time periods in the afternoon. The Truman High School dismissal, so 2:30 to 3:30, and we also looked at the elementary school dismissal time period of 4 to 5. We essentially counted from 2 until 7 p.m., and we picked those time periods that was the highest through there. We looked at 21 intersections, including 3 interchanges, as well as looked at 70 Main Line. And in addition, we bumped the traffic up in the existing by 5%, by 10%. At the request of MoDOT, just to be on the conservative side of things. So what you can see here is all those locations. We went as far north as 35th. We went as far south as 42nd Terrace. We went over to US 40 interchange, and we went over to Lee Summit interchange. And we also looked at a couple intersections along 39th as it went between Nolan and Lee Summit. So before we even talk about Wally's impact, we, as I stressed, look at the existing conditions. It's very important to make sure our model is replicating what's happening out there. And part of our job is to recommend things that would make the existing conditions better, and particularly from a safety perspective. We had 3 recommendations that come out irrelevant of whether or not Wally's goes forward. One was to extend the existing acceleration and deceleration lanes along 70 at the Nolan Road interchange. My first site visit here, and they'll tell you when we got on the 70 from Nolan Road, my first comment was there are no acceleration lanes here. You pretty much go down the ramp and you get thrown right into the main line. So I was like, they'll tell you, they don't love me because I very much like to spend money. So I basically was like, you need accel and decel lanes. That's bar none. The other thing that I said is when we all got to the site and they're all over looking at the site, I went and I looked at the intersection of Lynn Court and Nolan. And I was like, whew. So there's an offset of 30 feet in there. And when you have an offset of that level, you can correct for about 6 feet of an offset as you go across an intersection. You wouldn't really notice it as a driver. But 30 feet, that means you can't run the east and west legs at the same time. They have to be split-faced, which is very inefficient. You have to be very cautious of your turning movements and all of that. So I was like, this needs to be fixed, whether Wally's goes forward or not. The city was looking at possibilities of trying to realign that intersection. But, basically I put it to Wally's. And then the other thing that we really didn't like is that southernmost Hardee's access drive on Nolan Road, that's pretty much right there on top of the signalized intersection. That would meet nobody's access management standards whatsoever. Hardee's has a total of 4 access drives, so we recommended that would also be removed. So now let's talk about Wally's, right? I've kind of set the table for you in terms of what's happening on your road. So Wally's is a unique entity. So they're not your typical gas station convenience mart, like what you have across the street with Quick Trip, right? Those typically have about 24 vehicle fueling positions and a much smaller convenience component to it. They're also not a Buc-ee's. A Buc-ee's may be about the same size in terms of square footage. They tend to have a little bit more vehicle fueling positions. But Buc-ee's is sort of a nationwide phenomenon. There are people who go to Buc-ee's just because it's a Buc-ee's. There are people who wear Buc-ee's swimsuits. I mean, there are people who go to Buc-ee's because it is Buc-ee's. And so Buc-ee's generates anywhere from 50% to 100% more traffic than a Wally's does. So that became one of the things that when they first brought me on is I need to understand what a Wally's is, right? Because you're not a Quick Trip or that type of use, and you're not a Buc-ee's. They have 2 stores. We counted both of them, one in Pontiac, Illinois, and one in Fenton, Missouri. And we felt that the Fenton, Missouri one was very comparable to what they're proposing here in the sense that it was near residential area, it was near a commercial corridor, it was near an interstate, a lot of the same components. So we used the Fenton store as our basis. And based off of that, we basically were able to take what's happening in the Fenton store and scale it up to what they are proposing here, in the sense that this will have more vehicle fueling positions and it's a bigger convenience, or I don't want to call it convenience, but a bigger travel center portion of the store. You can see that if you look at that first line, sorry, I hate turning my back to you. If you look at this first line across, oh, this one's better. Oh, I'm really dangerous now. I've got multiple. Okay, if you look at this first line across, you can see that depending on the time period, it's generating anywhere from a little less than 600 cars in a peak hour up to, I think the peak that we found was 709. That is both in and out. So like if we focus on the 709, right here, that's 338 cars in and 371 cars going out in that one peak hour, right? So definitely more than you would see from a quick trip. Put in perspective, a Buc-ee's generates well over 1,000 cars in a peak hour. So if that kind of helps you kind of see, up to sometimes 1,500 cars in a peak hour, where we are falling in there. But what's unique about this proposed use is that it has what we call 2 different types of trips. When we talk about trip generation, we talk about new trips, which means they are like what I was describing that Buc-ee's has more of. People who just go there because they want to go get a brisket sandwich, or they need gas and they're going to go to Wally's and get their gas and then they're going to go back home. That represents, of this type of a use, about 10% of their traffic. The remaining 90% is what we call diverted trips. And they're going to be pulled largely from 70. And those are people who are basically going to go by on 70 or be going by on Nolan Road and are going to go to Wally's because they're on those roads anyways. They're new to the Nolan Road interchange. They're new to coming in and out via Lynn Court and Canterbury, but they're not new in the sense of they would already be going by on the interstate. Oh my gosh, too many things here to proceed. So this is from the traffic impact study. It's very lengthy, I apologize. It just is an example so you can see how the site-generated traffic is added to the intersections. Oh, and it's very faint, I apologize. But you can see basically the turning movements through here and going in and out. The access off of Nolan Road is going to be the primary point of entrance. It's really almost like the only one. The Canterbury Place access point will really be kind of the local way in or out through it. Because if you're coming from the interstate or you're going by a Nolan Road, that access off of Nolan Road is just very attractive to you. But if you know the area well, or you live in the residential area off of 39th or in that surrounding area, that access via Canterbury will be attractive to you. So we split the traffic essentially between those. We then go back and we revisit our models with the Wally's traffic in. And then we make a series of recommendations. So all of our recommendations include those 3 that I went through with you earlier. Basically that we want to see the excel and decel lanes on the interstate from Nolan Road. We want to see Lynn Court and Nolan Road aligned with one another. And essentially we want to see the Hardee's access point closed. But then we basically offered up a lot of other recommendations for mitigation through here. So the first one is I'm going to start at the southern end and kind of work my way north for you. So we're going to start at Nolan Road and the 70 eastbound ramp terminal. So what we recommended there is extending that ramp about another 170 feet. And that is in addition to the deceleration lane that would go back almost to the railroad overpass that's to the west of here. But extend that queuing through there to give us just a little bit extra, because as you know, you come down one lane and then it kind of flares out to the 4.
Can you make sure you're holding that microphone? Thank you.
Sorry. So essentially that would allow us to have about 170 additional feet of stacking on this off-ramp through here. And so that widening would carry back about to this point, and then it would narrow down to the ramp itself, and then the deceleration lane would go all the way back. Now we're going to go up to the Nolan Road and the 70 westbound ramp terminal, and that looks terrible. You can't see that. Do you guys have computers in front of you? Yeah. I can describe it. I know your presentation had that image in there as well. Is this touchscreen or no? No. Oh, this is dangerous. While he's doing that, so basically, I can kind of visually describe it for you, what we're doing through there. Yeah, it's just so faint here. You can't really see it. So basically, what we recommended is that that westbound off-ramp be widened, and it will have 2 right turn lanes that will be under signal control that would turn onto Nolan Road heading north through there. And they would essentially come up, and they could turn right on red if there's no traffic coming up from them. But otherwise, they would be under signal control, and they would make the right, and they would turn onto essentially Nolan Road, the 2 through lanes that are there, and proceed up to the intersection through there.
Question?
Yes.
So you're saying that the furthest outside lane would be controlled by the light also,
Both of them, yes.
even though there's no traffic coming from the Nolan Road? It couldn't be continuous on?
Continuous all the way up to into the Wallies, you're saying?
Yes.
So that was one option that we had considered, but that is not palatable to the Missouri Department of Transportation, and hear me out why.
Okay.
The Federal Highway Administration does not like to see what they consider access from a ramp that goes straight into private development. So it was a request from the Missouri Department of Transportation that we actually have the 2 right turn lanes turn into the northbound through lanes. And then we go a little bit distance north and we kick out the right turn lane. That is essentially there, but we make it a little bit longer. And then there will be a right turn lane that goes into Lynn Court Drive. But the Missouri Department of Transportation did not want to see a continuous lane that went off the ramp up and into Lynn Court.
So you're going to bring 2 lanes onto Nolan Road, then take it off?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and I apologize that you can't see that very well there. In addition, we also recommended that if you can kind of visualize, because I know you can't see it very well there, but when you get down to the interchange itself, it's what's called a tight diamond interchange, which means it's very compressed. If you're going south on Nolan Road, when you get to that northern ramp terminal, there's 3 through lanes that you can be in, but it kind of just flares out right as you get to that intersection. We recommended that those 3 lanes extend all the way back to Lynn Court, to the intersection of Lynn Court. So essentially, if you're coming from north of Lynn Court on Nolan Road, you have your 2 through lanes, but as soon as you cross Lynn Court, it widens out to the 3 lanes. And if you're turning off of Lynn Court, you have basically the 3 lanes that you would turn into. And one of our reasons for that was everybody's sort of bunching up as they're getting there at that ramp terminal, so why not just extend that all the way back, and people have more distance to pick the lane that they need to be in. That's a better and a safer situation, so we recommended that go all the way back to Lynn Court. Oh my goodness. You might have to, I don't know what just happened. It went, well, it's here. There's like, it's always hard when it's not your own computer. I know exactly what button to hit. Okay. So let's go up to Nolan and Lynn Court Drive. That would be a completely new intersection. So as you know it today, would essentially be gone. We are widening on the east leg that was coming out from where the Venture and the Kmart is, so just north of Andy's, south of the Hardee's. We are shifting a little bit on the west leg so that we can get alignment and basically correct that 30-foot offset, kind of bring them together. The whole goal of that, and poor Lindsay, I've made her look at it so many times, is we want to have our left turns be able to turn at the same time. So if you're on Lynn Court's west leg or if you're on the east leg, there'll be one phase and they can turn concurrently with each other. Very important. Coming out of Lynn Court from the development side, there'd be 2 left turn lanes, a through lane, and a right. So there'd be dual lefts that would turn to go south onto Nolan and back towards the interchange. The northbound approach would look very similar to what it is today, a left turn lane, 2 throughs, and a right. The southbound approach would look like it does today. However, we did recommend that we just adjust the striping for that southbound left turn lane There's some extra space there before the median starts, and rather than have it striped out, we might as well stripe it so that that can be used as part of the left turn lane. So we made a recommendation for that. And the entire traffic signal would be brand new, because by the time we've done all of that, we pretty much have touched everything in the intersection, so it would be a completely new traffic signal. 39th Street and Canterbury Place, very wide street on Canterbury, so one of the things was for that to be narrowed. It would come down to 3 lanes. Yeah, still not a great image, I apologize. That would come down to 3 lanes at about 40 feet. It currently varies anywhere from 55 to 72 feet. So you can see, right now, it's kind of like a wide open speedway, and it has a lot of tractor trailers that seem to just be parked and staying there. You go to a more of a traditional 40-foot wide street, stripe it as a street, people will drive it like a street, as opposed to the way it is right now. The intersection of Canterbury Place and 39th Street, we recommended that that go to what's called 3/4 access. So you would be able to turn left in or right in, but you would only be able to exit and turn right out. The reason for that is, even today, without the Wallies, it's difficult to make a northbound left off of Canterbury Place to go over to the signal at 39th and Noland. And then with the addition of traffic and everything through there, it just isn't a safe condition to allow that. We did, at the request of the city, look at it both as full access and 3/4 access. We recommended that it go to 3/4 access, and I was glad to hear from the city that that's the direction that they're going to go, and it's a much safer solution for there. And then Lindsay had kind of walked you through Lynn Court and Canterbury Place. We'll have 2 lanes in each direction, east-west, and 1 lane in each direction, north-south, and be controlled with stop control, but only stopping north-south traffic. So east-west traffic would basically come in and out. We had a couple other recommendations that I kind of consider to be more global. So one is, because I can't help myself when I'm looking at all this, but one is at the intersection of Noland and 42nd Street. So that is the full access, unsignalized intersection south of 70, but before you get down to the signal at 42nd Terrace, right? Regardless of whether this development goes in, there's really no reason that that access should be full access. It should be right in, right out. It would be safer. And both sides have access down to the signal at 42nd Terrace. And so that's what we call that more of a suggestion, because it's not really anything tied specifically to the Wally's development. It's just prudent safety recommendation for the city and MoDOT to consider. And so that was offered up. And then lastly, for all of this to work really well, we recommended that the corridor go for signal timing, progression analysis, and implementation. So what that means is that prior to the Wally's opening, new signal timing plans would be put into the signals along that corridor. We would coordinate this with Operation Greenlight. And then we would come back about a month and a half after Wally's opens, count the traffic, and tweak those timing plans to make them perform even better, and then basically out in the field adjust them. And it's something that my firm commonly does in conjunction with cities and with Missouri Department of Transportation. And so that is also a recommendation as part of this, because pavement and pavement markings will get you most of the way there, but if your signals don't work well together, then it doesn't operate the way we would like it to operate. So that was also one of our recommendations. So it's a lot, and I apologize for taking far more time than Michael did in his part of it, but I really wanted to walk you through it all. Here's the good news. When all of these improvements are in, the traffic actually functions, and it functions through the 20 years. Remember, I talked about those scenarios. It functions through the 20-year analysis that we looked at. It's a lot of improvements for a development. It is definitely north of $5 million. That my guess is it's probably more like the $7.5 million of an investment in it. And it is definitely a safer road system through here when all of these are put into place. It corrects a lot of existing deficiencies like the offset intersections, access management, some of the signal operations issues, et cetera. So I apologize for taking up so much of your time, but I'll turn it over to Michael, and happy to answer any questions.
Yes, Commissioner.
Why did you not address the southeast area of I-70 in Nolan?
The southeast?
Yes. You did not see a problem there? I see a problem there every day.
So we tested the idea of a northbound right turn lane on Nolan onto the eastbound on-ramp. And honestly, it really didn't do much versus the cost for it. So from a cost-benefit analysis, it just really didn't, it decreased the queue by 1 car.
So you're
And-
saying the back up there at the light at Nolan, down Nolan,
Yes.
that.
Part
I
of
mean,
that
'cause-
is signal timing. Well, I will tell you. So when we talked about this in our meeting with MoDOT, we basically revamped in all of our models all the signal timing between 42nd up to north of 39th. And there was some discussion with MoDOT about that we felt that signal coordination was a key piece to this. And they understood that. And so I'm sure that is.
But I don't think MoDOT controls that. That's Greenlight that controls it.
They control well, yes, but that is all a combination of MoDOT and the city works with Operation Greenlight. So it's all,
Yeah, because I mean, honestly, I don't think Greenlight's doing their job for the city on some of theirs. And
So-
you probably agree.
the entire corridor will benefit from signal timing modifications and optimization. Yes.
Okay, but I mean, because that just didn't make sense when they put that bridge in, that they made that not making a right lane turn off there, because it seems like to me it backs up on Nolan Road just for people to go right, which has been easier.
Correct. So right turn lane can't go in there without acquiring property and basically taking out that fence and I think there's a lot of signage and things in there. And again, the models were showing that it really only reduced the queue by 1.5 cars, and I think it was 4 to 5 seconds of delay. So the benefit wasn't there for the disruption in the cost. Again, that was assuming that we retimed the signals through there and had them operating better than what they are today.
Okay, my next question is going to be, it sounds like to me we need to accumulate some land. Has that been talked about already with all the landowners, or is that a question for you or a question for him?
Yeah, I don't go get the land. I
Okay.
come up with the ideas of how to spend the money.
Okay.
I did want to invite, sir, yes, so we'll open up to additional questions for you at
Well,
this
and
point.
just to, thank everyone. We're going to answer all the questions. Obviously, our team's here. We can start with that one. I think that's a perfect example. I've always said that there's like 3 chicken and egg scenarios going on at the same time. So in order for a development to move forward, there are certain things we have to do. That's also why I think you'll see a lot of conditions to what the city has said. And one of those, that could have been number 1. I don't remember which one it won, but it talks about acquiring all the relevant right-of-ways. So some of them are larger than others, and so that is going to be a condition for us to get any sort of building permit is acquiring those right-of-ways. Some of those conversations have been had. Some, we're waiting to really understand that this is the plan that moves forward. But once again, until we know that this plan is what is going to be approved, we will start finishing all those
So
conversations.
you feel confident of acquiring land if we let you go forward?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's just what I want to make sure.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Sorry.
Okay,
All
that's
right.
what I want to make sure.
Sorry.
Any additional questions for Michael? I do have a request that we take a 5-minute break. So when we return, we will continue with the public hearing. Let's go ahead and adjourn for 5 minutes.
Thank you.
I'm going to call the meeting back to order. All right, we are going to go ahead and begin with our public hearing portion, and I'm going to open that up. But prior to that, I'd just like to make a comment with a point of privilege, if you might allow. As some of you may have heard or become aware today, there was a bit of news on the internet. No, I'm not talking about Travis. But that being said, excuse me, there was this hearing being discussed quite a bit. And I firmly believe in the rights of all citizens for their free speech, but I ask that it be done with civility. The dictionary defines civility as formal politeness and courtesy in behavior of speech. Over the ages, some great thinkers have considered it one of the bulwarks of human society. But today, we have the internet and a 24-hour news cycle. So has this classic virtue become obsolete? I think not. According to George Washington, every action done in company ought to be done with some sign of respect to those that are present. While I know my podcast was my right of free speech and that I can be unbiased and open-minded as everyone on this dais can, we're learning and listening together tonight, and we will receive the testimony before us. With that in mind, I invite those that want to speak in favor of this case to go ahead and come forward. And we do have a list of names. So Eric, who is first on our list for this case.
Lucy Young.
And please state your name and your address.
My name is Lucy Young. Is this on? Sorry. My name is Lucy Young, 2320 Viking Drive, Independence, Missouri, 64057. Nolan Road is essentially the tale of three eyesores. To the south is Nolan Fashion Square. Decaying buildings and problems with vagrants is well known. The developer used that CID to prevent the city from demolishing those buildings. Information was released in May of 2025 that a potential developer could buy much of that retail area. To the north is the Lakeside Development, AKA the Santa Fe TIF, a financial time bomb paid for by city-backed bonds. The developer asked for the city to use eminent domain to take out viable tax-paying businesses and actually created one of the most blighted areas on Nolan Road, an unkept eyesore, busted up concrete with a fence surrounding a toxic Doubts Lake. There are rumors about a gas station going there. And then there was the Kmart Venture Building. The city used ARPA funds to demolish it, and everyone in the city was glad to finally see it go. Then a miracle happened on the Miracle Mile. Wally's bought that property. Wally's paid over $2.5 million in back taxes, and the Independence School District received $871,000. Wally's repaid the city's $200,000 for demolition costs too. Now Wally's wants to partner with Independence, but not in a way any developer has ever done so in the past. Wally's did not come to this city with outstretched hands looking for a TIF. Finally, a developer that wants to put his money where his mouth is. Wally's wants to personally invest $5 to $7 million to rebuild Nolan Road and I-72. I have never heard of any other developer making that kind of offer. Wally's wants to work with the surrounding neighborhood, and there will be a 6-foot masonry buffer wall built. Wally's will provide on-site security, and their manager patrols the property once an hour too. That will ensure the vagrant problem is addressed. Wally's has done numerous traffic studies, hydrology studies, and even had scientifically backed equipment to measure to 1/100th of a gallon of any gasoline loss. None of that came cheaply. Tonight, you're going to hear a lot of talk both about traffic and benzene. Some of the same discussion about traffic was heard when the Cargo Largo came before this board. There were concerns about all the 18-wheelers bringing in products, the 300 KCMO employees moving to the Independence location, and the 959 parking spaces that exceeded the city standard. That is a lot of traffic at 35th Street. Cargo Largo is building in phases, and only phase one of 4 has been completed. Those additional phases will bring in traffic as well. Cargo Largo has had to make some road improvements and construct 2 new streets. The almost $3.5 million in infrastructure costs will be reimbursed to that developer from the street sales tax, $1.7 million, and the Nolan Road SID, another $1.7 million. Benzene. The state of Missouri DNR requires that all gas stations build to a Phase 1 standard. Phase 2 is not required in any U.S. state except California. So why would the City of Independence require anything above that standard? Wally's will put in a lot of measures to protect the environment. So here's the facts about Nolan Road: the good, the bad, the ugly. The good is this opportunities if Wally's is approved. The bad is the Nolan Road Fashion Square, and the ugly is the Santa Fe TIF area. After nearly 30 years with no forward progress, it is dragging down Nolan Road. Maybe the Cargo Largo and the Wally's can help lift that boat. Wally's is consistent with the Independence for All strategic plan and the Imagine Independence 2040 plan. Both call to promote growth, investment, and opportunity. Wally's development plan aligns with that guiding principle. Wally's redevelopment project will have a positive impact on the highly visible Nolan I-70 interchange. Wally's will provide much-needed economic boost to our community with a projected $100 million in gross revenues, the addition of new jobs, and the capital investment of this facility. Their investment of $5 to $7 million to correct the traffic situation reflects a deep commitment to this city's future. The city doesn't have money to fix the Nolan Road traffic problem. The general fund needs the $1 million in projected sales revenues. Please approve the Wally's. Thank you. And Madam City Chair, I'd like to submit this to the clerk for the record, please.
All right, so
Thank you.
submit it.
Thank you.
All right, next on the list.
Bob Steichleather. Come on down.
Once again, state your name and your address.
My name is Bob Steichleather. I live at 16915 East 54th Street South in Independence. I'm not really for or against, but I have a question. And I think the folks have answered part of it, but is this project in the Nolan Road Improvement District? Second question is the improvements on I-70 and Nolan Road. Is that all 4 entrance exits, all 4 interchanges at I-70 and Nolan Road? My previous speaker talked about Cargo Largo, but we're still waiting on the entrance because we're waiting on the third party of the railroad to sign off on it. So is State of Missouri Department of Transportation, have they signed off on everything so far? And will those road improvements be done before Wally's is constructed, during Wally's construction, after Wally's construction, or in 2046?
All right, thank you. And we'll get answers to those in a little bit. All right, who's next on our list?
Mike Talcott.
Hi, Mike Talcott, 1901 Lake Drive, Independence. We have a company, Wally's, that's going to bring in plenty of sales tax. They're spending a lot of their own money. The city needs that sales tax money. They've already invested. They're spending millions of their own money to work on the street infrastructure And this is the first time in a long time, if ever, I've actually heard a company want to come into the city and actually bring in the Queen City aspect of our city and actually kind of partner under that. We've always been the Queen City of the trails, and with their logo, it just fits, and it sounds like they've actually put some thought into that. If Wally's is not approved, in my opinion, this would be an economic nail in the coffin. As you know, not only do we need tax income, but it could send a chilling message to other businesses that it's nearly impossible to locate a business here no matter what you do. And I think that's shown at the point of what they've already spent. We have a chance here to bring a huge economic boost and business to the city, and one that seems to want to make serious investments here. Please vote to approve this.
All right, thank you.
Becky Haig.
Becky Hake, 10516 East 26. The other speakers have said a lot, and then what I'd like to add to that is what we're not looking at also is not only the business coming in from Wally's, but also all the people coming off I-70. Yes, Wally's will have a lot of amenities for them, but there are restaurants around there. There's 3 hotels right there that might actually improve. Would be nice. And if you're in an RV, there's a grocery store, there's a CVS. And that's all that you can see from Wally's and when you come off the highway. I think this would not only improve just your business, I think this would improve the business from everybody around there. And if you're willing to promote the Queen City and the Truman aspect, you know, people may actually just drive down Nolan Road and go to the Truman Library, or go to the square, or see a historic house, Vale Mansion. Or if they don't have time, maybe they want to come back to see some of this because of what they've already seen. It just brings people off the highway. I know a lot of RVs cannot get into a Casey's or even a Quick Trip very easy. This gives them the idea and the space to get off, rest, fuel up, and maybe explore a little bit. Thank you. Please vote for it.
Thank you.
Wes Epperson.
Hi, I'm Wes Epperson. I live at 3600 South Poplar Avenue and Southwest Independence. Yeah, there's some things about this development and the developers that has impressed me. I think that going to Texas and then paying for the demolition of the old Kmart building, and the willingness to step up and do the needed improvements to the streets at over $5 million. I know the city has had the Lynn Court realignment on the books for years, and just didn't have the funds to go through with that project. So doing that along with all the other improvements in this area, again, demonstrates to me good faith. And I'm impressed when they talk about that they have good wages for the people they employ, and the cleanliness. I worked for UPS for over 40 years, and I drove on the road for 30. And I know when you have clean restrooms and you have a clean facility and you keep your lot clean and your word gets around, and that attracts people. And when you have a good reputation, that's going to cause more people to want to come to this place. That's going to be tax revenue for the city. And in a way, it kind of reminds me of the way Costco takes care of their employees and their facilities. And I know they're talking about building a new Costco on Lee Summit. That's going to cost us a lot of sales tax revenue when that opens. And hopefully Wally's will be up and running by then, and we'll be able to displace some of that tax revenue that we're going to lose. And I would say one more thing. My kids went to Tri-City Christian School. When Tri-City moved out on Seltzer Road off of I-70, my son graduated in '93, so it was about 1990. I think Blue Ridge Bank was there and Tri-City Baptist Church was there, and there was nothing else. Across just to the east, they built a ball field over there. There was no Drury Inn. There was no Mercy Hospital. There was no Corner Cafe. There was a 2-lane road there, if you all remember. And look at it today. We're already, the infrastructure is already miles ahead for this development. So I think Nolan Road, the improvements they're talking about, will be able to handle that, adequately. So I would encourage the commission to approve this. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Robert Merritt.
Hello, Robert Merritt, 1600 Southeast Dalton, Lee Summit, Missouri, again here representing Cable Dahmer. I want to start by saying that we don't have a strong opinion for or against this development. We've always had the opinion that more traffic, more people on Nolan Road, the better it is. I think we're here more under information gathering. We want to know more about, what's going on. The traffic study that they showed was different than even, I believe, the plans that were attached to this agenda item. So just from something I read yesterday to today, it's already changed. So I understand, those happen. If MoDOT says you're changing it, you're changing it. If you guys say we're changing it, we're changing it. So, but what I come here asking is, as I came down Nolan Road on my way to this meeting, what I'm thinking about is, what does the corridor need? What does Nolan Road need? And it could be this, I don't know. And actually I got posed that question the other day, well, what do you want to see there? And I hadn't prepared for the question, so I couldn't tell you what I wanted to see there. But what I did want to know is more information about what's going to go there, right? So just coming down here on Nolan Road, I'm driving down it, and it's interesting. I see a gentleman here from Andy's. What is it going to do to him? Those two streets there that are private currently that you just found out, you're going to inherit them probably, maybe, possibly, I don't know. That was my question too, is those are private streets. We've stared at this property for 20 years. They're private streets. So are they just going to deed them over to you, and all of a sudden, they're our responsibility to fix them? It doesn't sound like that's what's going to happen, so great. But just looking at the plans, we have no idea what's going to happen there, really. So driving down Nolan Road, I'm looking at the traffic coming towards me, and I'm thinking, is this gonna benefit them? Those 400 cars that are streaming towards me, trying to get to Nolan Road, and I don't know the answer to that. Is it going to benefit them? I don't know. I'm just asking the question. And you go further, I see a guy with the food trucks that are on Nolan Road now, which is just awesome, I feel like. Those are entrepreneurs trying to make a business. Is this going to benefit them? I don't know. So we come here more with more questions than rather taking a stance. Are we for it or are we against it? I think we just want to know more about it. We want to know if it's the best thing for the Nolan Road corridor. I mean, I think several of the businesses have made a significant investment on Nolan Road corridor, and rightfully so. They're asking, you know, maybe is this the best thing for me? It might be, but it might not be. I feel like a lot of us here are just here trying to seek more answers. So I would just ask of you all that when you go to vote for this, just ask yourself, is this the best thing for Nolan Road? And if in your conscience you can clearly say, absolutely, I feel like this is the best thing for Nolan Road, then you know, that's vote with your conscience. But I just want to put it out there that you know, think about that. Is this truly the best thing for this corridor? So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. That was all the names on our list, but is there anybody else that would like to speak in favor? Anyone else would like to speak in favor? Go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't say.
Just state your name and your address.
Robert.
Oh, did you swear in earlier?
I did.
Thank you.
Robert Del Fuente, 211 East Water Street, Springfield, Missouri. I'm the real estate director for Andy's Frozen Custard. We are very much in support of Wally's and Mr. Rubenstein's plan. We don't enjoy being next to a dead, blighted center. This is leaps and bounds much better for, I think, everybody along that corridor. I mean, I wish they were open today. And I hope that they open one up north by where I'm at. But our only concern is access to our store during construction. So we've spoken to both of these gentlemen, and they have assured us that they're going to have free, clear access because, you know, once the construction signs go up, the fences go up, people don't know if we're open. Can we get there? Is it too much trouble to access the site? They have assured us that they're going to leave it free and clear. So other than that, we're fully in support and look forward to them being successful.
All right, thank you very much. Anyone else? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to those in opposition that like to speak. Who's first on that list?
Karen Downing.
Karen Downey.
Good evening again. You just wanted to confuse me and see my smiling face, didn't you?
Absolutely.
Again, I'm Karen Downey. I'm thankful that you've allowed us to speak tonight. My address is 5441 Phelps Road, Kansas City, Missouri, and I own property and a business on Nolan Road. I have also been involved in several projects with Nolan Road throughout my time with the Independence Chamber of Commerce during my 16 years on the board and the board chair in 2004. I'm currently serving as the chairman of the Nolan Road Community Improvement District. Our CID was created by public vote and approved by the City Council to promote economic development, to beautify Nolan Road, and to prevent economic disruption that would harm our members. Two of our founding members, Cargo Largo and Cable Dahmer, are major employers and anchors of this corridor. They, like the rest of us, are deeply concerned about Wally's proposal. Let me be clear. We believe this plan is not developed enough to vote on today. The special use permits for 80 gas pumps is what is being asked for tonight. But that approval is the only leverage you have here. So don't approve this thinking that they can work through the other problems. Maybe they can, but we don't know that. In reality, if you approve today, it will never come back to the Planning Commission, so we'll never have another chance to look at it. Wally's will add substantially to the traffic problems at I-70 and Nolan, which we are told is already at maximum capacity. They estimate 45,000 additional cars per week. That will cause significant congestion. Wally's project manager, Nate Hale, admitted to one of our CID members that their own traffic engineer told them at the outset this site would not work for their concept. Despite that, they pressed forward. They now propose a plan that they claim will not make the problem worse. But let's pause on that for a moment. In other words, Wally's is saying that they have a plan that won't fix the serious traffic problems we already have. It just won't make them worse. That is a very low bar for a new business coming into our community. Independence deserves more and no worse than today. We should expect improvement. This so-called fix is estimated to cost between $5 and $7 million, funded with Independence tax dollars. We believe that that number is far too low. Improvements to the interchange, they say, we think that it might cost more than $10 to $15 million, and maybe perhaps more. I don't think anyone really knows that at this point. And even if financing is arranged, this will not happen quickly. Wally says it is working with MoDOT on traffic improvements, but experience teaches us to be skeptical. Our CID has been waiting more than 2 years just to get approval for a landscaping plan at the interchange. If it takes that long for a few trees and shrubs, how long do you think it will take to re-engineer an entire set of highway ramps and to improve this whole project? In reality, the traffic plan is incomplete, the cost estimates are too low, and the burden will ultimately fall on Independence taxpayers. That's not fair to the businesses who have already invested heavily here in this community. Wally's has also indicated they want their own community improvement district to finance their project. Let me stress what that means. Independence taxpayers would subsidize an unproven startup venture while the existing Nolan Road SID is asked to exclude them. That is not what voters created our district for. We were not created to subsidize startup businesses that damages established employers. Public health and neighborhood concerns. There are also unanswered questions about public health and quality of life. No one has measured benzene emissions from 80 gas pumps.
You have
this
1
site
minute.
backs directly into a residential neighborhood and an elementary school. Thousands of idling cars a day mean particulate emissions. This community already struggles with poor air quality and childhood asthma. A 6-foot fence will not block the noise, lights, or pollution from a 35-foot building operating 24 hours a day. Finally, let's not ignore the risk of blight. Wally's is not Buc-ee's. This would be only their 3rd location. They have no established track record. If they fail, this site easily could not be reused for another purpose. Banks will not finance a hotel or restaurant on a former mega gas station pad. Independence will be left with the 20-acre scar. In closing, our job at the CID is to safeguard this corridor, to prevent economic disruption, and to promote thoughtful development. Wally's proposal does none of that. It creates traffic gridlock, public health risks, and financial uncertainty, while threatening the very businesses that have proven their loyalty to Independence. Commissioners, this plan should not move forward. At the very least, it must be tabled until credible traffic studies are complete, health impacts are addressed, and real financing questions are resolved. Thank you for your time and your service to the community.
Thank you.
I hope I'm pronouncing this right. I think it says William Jasper. Yeah.
William Jasper?
Close enough. Come on up. I'm sorry, I just can't read it very well.
For the record, we'll definitely need you to pronounce your name and your address, please.
I will do so for the record.
Thank you so much.
My name is William Torres. No relation. Little background. I am an engineer, and I have taken part in a lot of projects in my career that have involved subsidies at all different levels, local, city, and state, never though for the City of Independence. There's a lot of, I agree with what Ms. Downey said. And one of you mentioned earlier that it might be a little bit premature to make some of these decisions that we're asking for tonight. I've done a little bit of research, and I don't want to disparage Wally's, but there's very little to compare to. And the only models is Buc-ee's. And there's an incident in a little town in called Mabin, I think. I think it's in South Carolina, where all you would have to do to follow what happened there would be to substitute the name of the town to the City of Independence, and the name of the developer from Buc-ee's to Wally's. It's kind of like a phenomenon that's happening across the country right now, where these mega gas stations are becoming very popular with travelers. And there's really nothing wrong with the model. But I want all of you to really think hard about what I'm going to say today. I've been living in Independence for quite some time now. And I recall hearing a story about when President Johnson came into town to visit former President Truman. And I thought I also heard a story about how city leaders lamented about the fact that a president of the United States was coming into town to visit one of the former greatest presidents of the United States. And they had to proceed through a trash line corridor in order to find their way to Truman's home. And they felt like their front door needed to be cleaned up. And the front door is a concept, I think, that we all need to really think about. We need to give the residents of Independence an opportunity to reflect a little bit and say, if you were asked, what would you say is the front door to Independence? Now, I'm not a pollster, but I have conducted an informal survey just in my little neighborhood. And without a doubt, everyone says I-70 and Nolan Road. Everybody.
You have 1 minute.
That's our front door. So, the corridor from our front door is Nolan Road. The living room is historic downtown. It's a treasure. We got to guard it. We got to protect it. Now, I think that in concept, this is an okay project, but it's just at the wrong spot. As an engineer, I can argue a lot of or question a lot of the presumptions that have been made here. But that's not really the point. The point is, do we want our front door to be forever blocked and further damage our historic square that all of us are proud of? So I think we need to really think about that as a very fundamental, basic question to ask first before we proceed. There might be other solutions, alternate solutions, And like I said, I could argue, I could question a lot of the presumptions in the study and all that. You know, that's really not where we need to be right now. We need to answer that fundamental question first. Do we want our front door tarnished and continue to destroy our downtown square?
All right. Your time is up,
Oh.
sir.
And then I would also like to, I would like to leave you with this, since somebody else did before.
Absolutely.
And I want you to study this. And like I said, everybody in town opposed this project. And these projects are being denied all over the country. Now, you got it's a good model. It's a good business model, but not at our front door. I think there's another solution possible. That's a discussion for another day. But I would like to enter this into the record. Can I
All right, you can hand it to the clerk. Thank you. Who is next, sir?
Deepak.
Mhm.
Good evening. Deepak, 4900 West 83rd Terrace, Prairie Village, Kansas. I'm CEO of Cargo Largo. Madam Chairman and Commissioners, thank you for allowing me to speak. Cargo Largo's been part of Independence for nearly 40 years. For 35 of those years, I've been on various committees dedicated to the improvement of the Nolan Road corridor. Most recently as a founding member of the Nolan Road CID in 2015. The unifying purpose behind all those groups has been to strengthen the community by protecting and enhancing the economic engine of the businesses along Nolan Road, a material contributor to the city coffers, and also to ensure the long-term viability and livability of the corridor. To say I'm pro-business development is an understatement. Our company recently completed one of the largest private investments in the city in the last few decades. Well over $50 million in a facility that employs around 500 people and draws thousands of customers every week. We're proud to follow in the footsteps of dealerships that make up the Miracle Mile and be an anchor on Nolan Road, along with the numerous businesses that are committed to partner for a better community. You're considering a special use permit tonight. When I think of the proposed use, I think of it as through the perspective of a neighbor, business owner, and Nolan Road CID board member. The work of the CID and its predecessors and community members in the city has improved traffic flow along Nolan Road, removed unnecessary signage and curb cuts, incentivized businesses to improve their facades and ingress and egress. Generally speaking, the work has helped to create a more inviting environment that's easier for residents and visitors alike to access. However, I'm here today because of my concern the proposed development would directly threaten the millions of dollars of investment of corridor businesses, the livelihood of its employees, and the millions in revenue and sales tax generated by our customers. not to mention real estate taxes. From a personal perspective, Cargo Largo shoppers rely heavily on I-70 and on the I-70 and Nolan Road interchange for access. We know that interchange is already at its maximum capacity. I understand the presentation of the traffic study and plans, and I think they do a reasonable job of solving the traffic problem into the proposed site. I am greatly concerned about how it impacts traffic north of the site and through all the corridor and corridor businesses. You know, a vital part of economic development is protecting and enhancing businesses that make up the city's economic foundation.
You have 1 minute.
To be clear, Cargo Largo embraces competition. We have a Walmart across the street from us. We have many retailers in the vicinity. And as I said before, we are pro-business. So what does this type of development do to drive traffic into Independence? The answer is not overtly obvious. It appears to be a transient business. Folks come in and buy gas and food and move on down the road. We've heard that they drive people into the city, although I've not heard any detail on that and would welcome that. Another thing, and it's already been said, but based on my recent construction experience, others' recent construction experience, the $5 to $7 million seems about half of what it's really going to cost. So, you know, how does that get rolled into the project? How does that affect timeline, congestion, construction? I echo, I won't repeat, I certainly echo Karen's concerns about timing and other things related to construction. Our experience on the CID, where we're waiting years to get a definitive answer on a minor improvement along the highway right-of-way. Yeah, since I'm out of time, I will skip ahead. But you know, just looking at the bigger picture, this is one of the best development sites in the city. Is this the best development? And I loved Mr. Torres' analogy of a front door. This is Independence's front door. My concern is, do we have enough information? This is really the bottom line. Do we have enough information tonight to make a decision to advance a project that could potentially jeopardize the Nolan Road corridor, the viability and vitality of the Nolan Road corridor? So,
your time is up, but thank you, sir. All right. Is there anyone, that's the end of the list, correct? Is there anyone else who would like to speak in opposition of this case? Anyone else? Okay, I'm going to invite the applicants back up. I don't know which one needs to address, but you heard quite a few questions and wanted to give you an opportunity to address any of those.
Thank you. Obviously, a lot of questions, so I'll answer a couple. I wrote them down. If there's others that the council would like me to answer, happy to do that. You know, I guess the first is, you know, thoughtful development. I heard that theme a lot. That's obviously something we have thought about a lot. I think as you look at the quality of the building materials, the nichiha, the storefront with glass, we've been very thoughtful in terms of the view. And once again, just to reiterate, you know, I mentioned the 5-to-1 ratio. Yes, we have, you know, a lot of fueling positions, we have a lot of charging positions, but we do have a lot of people that come for just food. And the way we do our food, it's not fast food. Our chefs are out there. It's 360-degree views. You get to watch the food being made. It, you know, it kind of reminds me of like you know, the malls used to have a food court where you could get all sorts of things at once. We have a lot of prepared foods, like a grocery store, like Meals to Go. And so I think, you know, with that in mind, we have done our best to be as thoughtful and really graded a lot of, you know, what we've done in other stores. As it relates to the cost estimate and the ability for, you know, people to give their concerns, you know, once we had the neighborhood meeting last month, I think I saw some familiar faces, some were new. We obviously welcomed the opportunity to address a lot of those current concerns, and I think we stayed, you know, an hour past it ended just to make sure that everyone had you know, the ability to ask every single question to get the knowledge they wanted. You know, the timing of it, we started, I think our first pre-development meeting with the city was 3.5 years ago. And it obviously evolved, and I don't know the exact date, so I will not submit that to the record. But it's been over 3 years. During that time, we got a lot of feedback. We got a lot of, you know, you can ask anyone in traffic, like I wanted to push it through a long time ago, but I was, you know, made and forcefully so to restrain myself, to let the process go through. We started conversations with MoDOT 2.5 years ago as well, even before Julie started, I think back in 2022. And so those conversations are ongoing. And I get back to the chicken and egg, you know, 4 different chicken and eggs at the same time. MoDOT has gone through multiple conversations that have ended up with almost a year-long traffic review that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars that we fronted with just the risk that, you know, nothing happened, just to continue to move forward. So this has been going on for a very long time. We've thought about the cost estimate. And, you know, how are we going to try to, you know, we want to, you know, there's reference to driving traffic to the down to the corridor. What I would reference is our first store is in Pontiac, Illinois. So Pontiac, Illinois is the mural capital of Route 66. About 3 miles from the actual interstate, they have all these beautiful murals that they try to pull people off of. I guarantee if you talk to the mayor or the Economic Development Council, the amount of increased tourism that we've helped push towards the city would speak for itself. I mean, I don't have any exact numbers to submit, but we know just from the conversations that it's been a very positive for the city. And so we would even be willing to, you know, double down, triple down, and really find, you know, creative ways to make that happen. So I don't know if you guys have anything else to add.
I can answer some of the trouble.
Yeah, please.
So I kept up with the traffic questions. One of the questions had to do with, was all 4 ramps or going to be improved? And yes, we recommend it all 4. So essentially the 2 acceleration lanes would be lengthened and the 2 deceleration lanes would be lengthened. Another was, has MoDOT signed off? So they have not given their final approval, but we have had, like I said, a number of meetings with them. They have reviewed the traffic impact study, gave us comments. We resubmitted on August 5th to the city and MoDOT and addressed all the comments that they offered at that time. They take about 4 to 6 weeks for their second review, but it is normal that traffic impact studies go through usually 2 iterations of reviews. So that's normal, and usually the first one is where if there's any deal breakers or big giant red flags, those get revealed, and we did not have that. When will it be constructed? So all of the improvements are recommended as a form of mitigation associated with Wally's. So they would be in place as part of Wally's opening. The plans don't match the TIS. So the only thing in the TIS that doesn't match the plans, and that is something to do with Canterbury and 39th Street, and that was because the city specifically asked that we change it on the plans to show full access, even though we had initially recommended the 3/4 access, and for us in our resubmittal of the TIS to evaluate both options, which we did. And it was just this evening that we found out from the city that they are going to go with the 3/4 access that we recommended. They have seen both layouts of it. Traffic would not be worsened. So the TIS does address numerous existing constraints and offer mitigation for that, as well as numerous of the safety concerns that, whether it's Wally's or whatever goes on this development site, that list would probably be very close to the same as what I went through for Wally's. And then the last one I have is comparing Wally's to a Buc-ee's, and I kind of, jovially said that this wasn't a Buc-ee's in the sense that Buc-ee's is a phenom. But to put it in perspective for you, I did some quick math while I was over there. In a morning peak hour, Buc-ee's generates 35% more traffic than the Wally's. In a PM peak hour, a Buc-ee's generates 74% more traffic than a Wally's would. And on a Saturday peak hour, a Buc-ee's generates 157% more traffic than a Wally's is. It is not the same. I know that the travel center concept is the same, and no disrespect to Wally's, they're a great company, but they're just not the same. In the level of, Buc-ee's are nationwide, and there are people who literally plan trips to go to Buc-ee's. So I think that was all the traffic questions that I noted. So thank you.
Thanks, Julie. I liked all your comments except the last one.
Sorry.
Any other
Yes, I'll
questions?
open up to the commissioners. Any additional questions?
Yes, Chair.
Commissioner?
Signage. I see you got your small sign in front. Are you going to put a bigger sign up?
Yes, sir.
I didn't see that on the drawing anywhere, so.
Yeah, we haven't submitted our signage package. There's overlay districts, there's requirements. We don't anticipate looking for any variances. Nate, you probably looked into it. Why don't you talk about it?
Hello, Nathan Hale, 2235 Northbridge Drive, Normal, Illinois. I'm the Director of Construction and Development for Wally's Travel Centers.
Okay.
So regarding the sign package, in multiple communities that we've gone into, there's limitations on the size, whether it's the height or the square footage of the actual sign itself. We don't intend to go for a variance or anything else. We would go with the community's standard recommendation for the sign unless there is a special overlay as part of I-70 that would limit or allow something potentially taller. But we have no intention nor we've made any request to go for special signage along that corridor. It would be our typical pylon sign, and then the other sign that we had hoped for is the one that was shown in Cole's entrance schematic,
Right,
where you
yeah.
see the road trip sign that we're somewhat famous for.
Okay, so a scrolling sign up there with what you're saying.
It's kind of got more of a neon, a little bit of a.
Does it have prices on it and things like that for the gas?
That road trip sign does not have price digits on it. No.
Okay, so you guys don't advertise the price of your gas or?
It's actually a really good question. When we first opened Pontiac, we did not have price digits on our pylon sign. And as we're looking into store number 3 in Whitestown, we're still discussing it. And I don't know if Michael's vote is on that today currently, but it's one of the things that I believe as a company we're 50-50 on, whether we want to advertise pricing or not.
Okay. My other probably question for you would be engineering. I like the idea you're going to put electric charging stations. How about the city power to you? Do we have enough power to get to you guys for that aspect?
Based upon our pre-development meetings with Independence Power and Light, or the organization, there is sufficient power there based on what used to be there previously with the Kmart and the Northern Tool and the Office Depot. It's outside of the sanitary sewer. It's actually a very well-prepared site for a lot of the other utilities.
So the 12, I'm guessing they're going to be fast charging stations, correct?
They would be. We've currently started using a third-party vendor called Iona, which is a consortium of a lot of domestic auto manufacturers, and they use a 250 to 400 charging electric vehicle charger that is both DC and AC to DC in
Okay.
order to make it a fast charger.
Okay, so you guys will have things like it, because I mean, we need charging stations for the future, I know. That's why I like you guys' idea for that, because, I mean, we're behind times here for that. I mean, we don't have anything right off I-70 for charging stations that I can think of except for Bass Pro and the Target and Walmart's. But I mean, that's why a filling station with that, it sounds nice.
One of the great things about it is that this company that we've started to work with, Iona and Francis Energy, utilizes both types of plugs or chargers.
Right.
So Tesla's known for using a NACS or a North American charging system.
Right.
And previously, domestic auto manufacturers used what was called a CCS plug.
Right.
And they've recently all changed and gone over to the Tesla plug. But the company that we work with now has both plugs on every one of their units.
Okay.
So existing vehicles and vehicles that's still being constructed, we would be able to cater to both.
So I just want to make sure you have the power there to do those charging stations.
No concerns. It's actually an excellent question because we've had to run additional services not only to our Fenton store but our Pontiac store to accommodate Tesla charging and just other conditions. But at what we've got right now here in Independence is prime for that.
Okay.
You've got good facilities right there for power.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, additional questions, anyone?
Oh, one other question, probably.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
The safety concerns, I heard somebody bring that up. You guys have a 24-hour security system, is that what you have, people on site?
Yeah, so we have both, the good old-fashioned security of just having someone patrol the site, as well as technology with cameras that cover every aspect of the stores, with the exception of the restrooms, of course. And so we have a lot of, real-time information. We work very closely with the local police and fire departments to ensure that loitering, people who steal, right, that they're given no trespass letters, they're not, welcomed back. We try to kill people with hospitality. We, aren't in the business we're in the business of creating safety for our guests first and foremost. So it starts with the lighting around the facility, having the cameras everywhere, ensuring that people feel safe. Honestly, that's one of the biggest draws for our site is the safety aspect.
One other question for you. I just went blank on it.
We can come back to you.
Okay, go back.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Oh, wait a minute, now I know.
Okay, go ahead, Commissioner.
Why so many pumps 48? Why so many?
Well,
I mean, I don't know what your other facilities look like, so I'm just, are they all used that much, or is it, I'm just asking, I don't know.
Sure. I mean, with the size of facility that we have and, where a Quick Trip or another convenience store may have, 30, 40 units in a market. We have one. We may do another in Kansas City. Obviously, this is our first one. So we really focus on, quality over quantity. And yes, I think that's where, Julie's study comes into play. Our busiest times are on the weekends. Friday, Saturday, Sunday are the big travel days. So one of the reasons, going back to being thoughtful and the timing of it is our busiest times are, by the traffic studies, some of the not as busiest times, meaning when school's getting out or certain times of the day. But there are times where all the pumps are full. There's times where it's not as much.
So your other stations have 48 and they can be full at times?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so 48 is your standard for all your other stations?
Well, so when you talk about fueling positions, the dispensers are double-sided.
Right.
So it's 42 dispensers that are double-sided. So it's 84 fueling positions. But a lot of times what people do is they fuel and then, walk in. They'll turn
Right,
their,
I understand. Yeah, I understand that. I was just curious on that aspect of it. My other concern is when you guys come in, the road goes straight in and you're going straight in front of the fueling stations and going into where people walk across and stuff. I know this became a problem like when Walmart put out here, and they had to change their way of traffic because the traffic started backing up because people are walking across. And if you guys are expecting that much traffic flow, do you guys see that as a problem?
No, we don't. I mean,
Do your other places are the same way set up that you drive in, you're going right in front of the station, and the pumps are still to the right where the inside's to the left, or vice versa?
Yes, sir, that's the same way they're set up. And we do have a walkway down the center that's, double lined on both sides.
Well, I understand that. I just want to know if you had problems with.
We've never had any sort of incident. No, we've never had a problem.
Okay, because I just see something like that with people coming in. I mean, it's just backing up because people are still trying to get in, but they got to wait for people to walk across instead of bringing them around on the other side or something like that. That's what.
Sir.
Okay.
All right, Commissioner Ashfall?
A little bit was mentioned about this, but because there's been some comments about, well, it's not enough money to do the road, and as you're going along, my question is kind of, are you going to consider being part of the going ahead and being part of the Nolan Road CID, or are you going to push for your own CID? And what are your feelings about TIFs?
So I guess the first part of the question, was about the cost of it. So, when we were waiting for comments from, MoDOT, if there were certain specific things that happened, as Julie referenced, they were deal breakers, right? Us nor anyone in the world would, is building a new $30-40 million overpass, which, didn't happen, right? The traffic studies, what we have provided in solutions is part of that. And so we're part of the Nolan Road CID currently. And so, we're looking at all various conversations. I mean, like I said, we've gone out of our way. We've shown good faith that we're willing to be a part of the community. We know that we are not looking for a city-backed TIF. We know that's a deal breaker. Everyone's been very clear about that. And so we have no intention of doing a city-backed TIF.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions?
Yes, Mike, stay up there.
All right, Commissioner.
So, how about this 1 cent sales tax or something like that for improvement project, CIP? Are you guys looking into that?
Sorry, it was about the CID?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at all the various options, for us. But like I said, we're currently in the Nolan Road CID. If the CID helps support the intersection that we're doing, then that's something that, we think would be very beneficial to not just us and everyone.
So that's why you're looking for the Nolan Road improvement project to help pay for that problem.
I think, once again, it's a little too early to answer. I mean, it's this chicken and egg.
Well, I know, but that's something that's going to be on the table. But, I don't see any reason why they shouldn't help pay if that's help, because you guys are definitely going to bring things to Nolan Road. I look forward to that happening. We got a blighted area. It's been there for a long time, so I appreciate you. But I just want to make sure that you're not going to come back and ask for one, because, there has been developers that come through here and ask for it before they get going again. So I just want to ask that question up front. So, do you plan on it? It's a yes or no answer.
Do we plan on looking at the incentives that are available? Yes, we do plan on looking at the incentives that are available.
That's all of that. Thanks.
Any additional questions, comments? All right, thank you so much.
Thank you guys for your time. Appreciate it.
All right. Any additional questions for staff at this point? Any additional questions for staff? All right, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. All right, I will entertain a motion.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Commissioner O'Neill.
I move to approve case number 25-200-07, special use permit for 4023 South Nolan Road.
Second.
Right, I have a first and a second. Prior to the vote, I would like to make a statement. While I do not see any conflict of interest, I have neither nor will I derive any financial or political power with the Wally's project. It has been suggested that because I did a podcast, there could be a potential lawsuit against the city if I vote on this. So I am going to recuse myself from a vote at this time to protect the city that I love. And that is it. Thank you. I will call for the vote.
Commissioner Nesbitt?
Yes.
Commissioner Ferguson?
Yes.
Commissioner Ashbaugh?
No.
Commissioner O'Neill?
Yes.
Commissioner Torres?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
And our recommendation passes, 1 abstained, 5 yeses, 1 no. All right. Thank you so much. I do want to sincerely thank everyone for your comments tonight, for the tone in which they were presented, and thank you for being citizens and applicants of Independence, Missouri. Have a great night. And we are adjourned at 8:44.